Our story begins in a luxurious apartment where everything looks quite beautiful and stylish. Our hero enters the room barefoot. He has obviously just had a shower. Entering this room, he thought that it was too luxurious. He obviously liked where he was. As he walked to the bed, he fell on it and thanked God for what was happening. He said that if this was all a dream, then may God let him stay in it forever. But that wasn't all. Suddenly, a certain blonde-haired woman burst into the room. As soon as she entered the room, he immediately got out of bed and looked at her. This woman had an incredible gorgeous figure, her long legs. It was something magical. Our hero was already 22 years old and he was glad that he finally saw paradise. He could not believe that all this is happening to him. This is the heavenly life. He came to it. As soon as this woman came into his room, she began to rush towards our hero. This woman acted as if she was a little drunk. Suddenly, she quickly laid down on the bed next to him. Naturally, he was incredibly happy. She was so beautiful. He thought he was blessed. Finally, he decided to approach her to kiss her. As soon as he closed his eyes and touched his lips to her, he felt something was wrong. When he opened his eyes, he saw that right in front of him there was a big bronze-colored snake. He had just kissed it. When he realized what was happening, he was shocked. There were several snakes and they were all aimed at him. The woman looked around to see what was going on. What was that noise? As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw the man sitting on the floor and shouting that there were snakes all around him. The beautiful woman answered him that they were her pets. One of the snakes brought her a glass of water. The woman in red clothes took this glass of water and asked if he had any problems. These snakes enveloped him. They came out around his neck and looked him right in the eyes. The man was screaming the whole time and trying to throw himself off these snakes and then asked her what she meant. The woman threw off her clothes and only now could it be seen that her eyes were transformed. She was like a demon. This woman asked the man if he still wanted to kiss her. The dumbfounded, half-naked, and terrified man shouted that it was a different story, as long as the snakes didn't sleep with him. And it turns out it was his phobia. He's incredibly afraid of snakes. After that, he screamed very loudly and passed out. It was already night outside. And so he lay unconscious all night until morning. When he woke up, there were still snakes crawling around him. He slowly began to rise to his feet, while remembering what had happened last night. When he finally got up, he looked at the transparent door and was very surprised. There was the same woman. She asked him if he wanted to go in with her. The man replied that he had to go to the bathroom, but of course it would be nice if they could take a shower together. Then he heard exactly what he wanted most of all. The woman said that he could come in and they could bathe together. From these words, his brain began to shut down and he felt as if he were on wings, and he felt elated. But first he wanted to go to the toilet. And as soon as he opened the door of the toilet, there were a lot of snakes. Immediately, he ran out of the room and started looking for a place to get some privacy. He had been looking for another toilet for some time. He was very anxious to finally relieve himself. So he ran to some room and looked around to see if anyone was around. Then he slowly started to open the door, and as it turned out, the door was unlocked. Finally, he found the toilet. I had a snake in it. He immediately got to work. Suddenly someone entered the room. It was some woman. When she saw him, she immediately kicked him. From such a blow, our hero just fell to the ground. What is worse is that he did not finish his work. As it turned out, it was his mother-in-law, and he said that there was a misunderstanding. The woman told him not to call her like that. Who gave him permission to enter her room? The man replied that he couldn't find the bathroom and so he came here by accident. Then, the woman looked at him very sharply and told him to clean it all up now. Should be licking it all with his tongue. Naturally, this turn of events surprised him very much. He asked her what she meant. The woman with the black bandage around her neck told him to lick it all up and to go to the warehouse and get her a new toilet. Our hero turned to his mother-in-law and called her mom, and said that after all he is married to her daughter, why say such things? He may not come back here in the future. Then the woman said in a fierce voice that if he didn't do what she told him, what did he think his future would be like? Our hero got to his feet and told her to wait a minute. If she was treating him like that, wasn't he afraid he would tell others that her daughter had a fetish for poisonous snakes? Then her mother laughed and asked, "Is it really true? If so, what of it?" Her interlocutor replied that she should think carefully. What would happen if he told her about it? Who would dare to approach her after that? The blonde-haired woman laughed loudly and then sharply looked at our hero with her snake eyes. Abruptly, she grabbed him by the neck. Scales like a snake appeared on her arm. Then she smiled slowly and sinisterly and began to say creepy things. She asked him if he had ever seen prey that climbs into a predator's den by itself. She crushed his neck very hard. Our hero at this point was thinking about why he was so unlucky. This would not have happened if he had not gotten to this place. Now let's go to a different place. This is the school where our hero is now. He came here to submit an application, but the man who examined it defiantly threw the papers up. It was a scholarship application. Our hero told his interlocutor that he had seen people who didn't meet all the conditions, but if they came from very good families, they approved the application. Then, the arrogant man said that his interlocutor just didn't understand. If he had the same family conditions as others, he could also apply. But unfortunately, he was not from such a family. He fell on his knees and asked, "Does this mean that he cannot apply?" On his interlocutor came up to him and put his hand on his shoulder and said that it was not that bad and he would help him. Then the excited guy with tears in his eyes got very excited. He grabbed the hand of his companion and bowed his head before him while thanking him loudly. The man with the strange mustache said that he was not to be thanked. He was just very lucky to have met him, and he wanted him to do something for him. Our hero said he'd do anything for his date, even go through the fire. Well, the man who took the application said he didn't have to do that. Had he heard that a freshman named Millie was his friend? The guy replied that she was indeed. She was his only family at the orphanage who was so kind to him. Then his interlocutor laughed loudly and said that it was good, since she was good to him. He should just ask her to come here to have some fun together. If he was happy with it, then a scholarship would be given to our hero. After saying that, the guy stood up to his full height and asked his interlocutor what he had just said. He said it with such a menacing voice that his interlocutor was frightened. He asked what he was doing and if he needed a scholarship. The young guy replied that he wanted a scholarship, but not to that extent. He immediately tore up the papers and then yelled that they were going to sell their only family and threw fists of paper right in the face of his interlocutor. At this point, he was very angry and wanted to beat the man up, but suddenly a symbol lit up on his chest. Not far away was the same blonde girl with a gorgeous figure. She felt something, but she did not understand what it was. Suddenly, she was attracted by a bright glow from one office. She immediately paid attention to it. A young guy was lit up in bright flames. His interlocutor was very scared and didn't understand what the hell was going on here. At the same moment, there was some loud noise behind the door, and a moment Oka, the door just flew out. This door was kicked out by this very girl. The impact was so strong that it knocked that arrogant man off his feet. The door just crushed him so hard that one of his shoes even flew off, and we can see the beautiful sight of this man's toe sticking out of the hole in his sock. Then this powerful lady entered the office absolutely calmly. She looked gorgeous. And as soon as our hero saw her, he got a nosebleed and calmed down. But suddenly there were strange events. She grabbed him by his clothes and asked him, just that it was him? And then she threw him on the ground, said it was disgusting. Our hero still didn't realize what happened. She then looked him in the eyes and said he was obligated to marry her. That was the brief backstory of how our hero ended up in such a fancy house with this demonic woman. As his mother-in-law was strangling him, her daughter appeared behind her and turned to her mother. She calmly told her mother to stop doing that because he shouldn't die. The way to break the curse is not only to live together but to sacrifice your heart. And then her daughter asked her mother if she was really going to break the agreement. He's staying home and not going anywhere. Dozens of dogs were outside trying to catch their prey, and at the same time there were many soldiers near this luxurious mansion. After saying that, the mother-in-law threw her son-in-law to the ground, asking what the hell kind of people are they? Then the blonde-haired woman replied that they were not humans, they were actually demons. As soon as he heard that, he scratched the back of his head and said that it was not bad, and then started to run away quickly, but his mother-in-law stopped him and asked him where he was going. Her interlocutor replied that he would do whatever they wanted, but don't let them eat him. Then his gorgeous woman told him not to worry. They are demons who do not eat more people. And she really wants him to marry her. Our hero asked why she would. After all, he is an ordinary, simple man. Then his mother-in-law said he may be ordinary, but there is something special about him. Then the guy got embarrassed and said that it's really true. He has a special talent. The size of his unit is very unusual. Then his fiancée replied that he was just being silly. They are about the marriage seal marks on him, and what is he even talking about? The man replied that he meant, how could he know he was gifted, and what kind of marriage seal is that? Yanyer is a genius. It happens once in a century. She is only one step away from ascension at such a young age. But shortly after her birth, she was sealed by someone, so she couldn't break through to the final level. Well, unless she marries someone who also has that seal, she'll never be able to ascend. She'll face the lightning of hell if she makes the breakthrough. And our hero is the only person in this world who has the other half of the marriage seal. After he learned this about himself, he was very surprised. Is he really a special person? Then his mother-in-law said that he was, and their family had been looking for him for a long time. So once Yanner was elevated, he would be able to leave quietly. And he just needed to behave himself for now. And she could still let him be a servant in this house. And then she looked at him with a formidable look and said that if not, she would turn his life into a hell of torment. Root decided not to push his luck and just do what he was told to do by the house. After a while, he finally cleaned everything. Not only did he become a member of the demonic nest, but his mother-in-law was furious. These women are gorgeous, but it's impossible to get close to them. It pisses him off so much. At this moment, another cute girl was watching him, wondering how he got out of his mother's room. If after the wedding his sister's cultivation rises to perfection, then taking him would be useless. And in that case, she would be able to take it for herself, and it would belong to her alone. There was a group of people gathered in a secret place. This room was very dark. They were talking about something. These people were in very nice suits. They were obviously very rich. Just as this meeting was coming to an end, one of those men said they had to do what they were talking about, and they hoped this guy would surprise them. But it's quite possible that it wasn't people but some kind of demons. The man said the meeting was over. Meanwhile, our guy was busily cleaning this house and he brought in a new gold toilet bowl. It's a $24,000 gold toilet bowl that he picked out of a warehouse. Now he was thinking about the fact that the mother-in-law would have no more excuses to punish him. At that moment, that youngest, gorgeous, lovely lady appeared behind his back. She asked him who would punish him. Our hero was startled by the surprise, and then said that he seemed to have seen her before. She is a member of the Research Institute, right? Then this lady showed up in all her glory and said it was really her. Right after she said that, she grabbed the man and threw him into her room. Well, yelled for him to get on the beds quickly and then they need to get closer to each other. Then she made a leap and pounced on our hero. Said at the same time that she is the second daughter of the Liu family. Her name is Dudu Liu. The guy greeted her and said that it was a misunderstanding. Could she please calm down first? But she pinned him to the bed even harder and said, "Doesn't he like being here? Does he prefer something else?" Then our muscular hero in a maid's dress fell to the ground in an attempt to escape and told the girl not to mess with him, and then explained to her that he was devoted to his gentle, beautiful, and magnificent wife, and his mother-in-law is a gentle and kind woman with a powerful aura. An awkward pause followed. For a few seconds they were just silent. And then the guy looked around and asked about is this some kind of test and is no one watching him? Then the cute girl asked what kind of test he was talking about. Did she think she was hurt and did he want to help her? The guy asked how she could be hurt if she kicked him so hard. The girl gently pointed out with her finger that she had a bruise on her knee. Then the faithful man said that he had a wife and a mother-in-law who was always watching him. If he dared to touch her, he would have to sleep in a pile of snakes every day. Suddenly, this nice lady had her tattoo on her neck. It was not a simple tattoo, but some magical symbol. At the same moment, some golden collar appeared on her neck. She got angry and said that it happened again. After that, the girl just fainted. The guy asked, "Is this really happening now? Seriously, I've been bullied and kicked, and now this." Chic lady lying on the bed unconscious. The man did not know what to do in such a situation. And then he decided to try and forehead to check if she had a high fever. As it turned out, she was very hot. Suddenly, his mother-in-law came up behind him and asked him why he was still here. The man immediately said it was fine, and he had replaced her toilet bowl with a gold one, and he hoped she would like it. The woman then looked at her daughter, not understanding why she was lying there unconscious. The girl came to her senses and turned to her mother and asked her what she was doing here. Then the mother-in-law asked her son-in-law how Dao Dao came to be in this place. She promptly started walking towards our hero and said she needed a reasonable explanation. The man replied that she should ask her about it, for he knew nothing. The young girl said it looked like she had come here alone and then somehow ended up in bed. She couldn't remember. Her mother came up to her and said that she had been having more of these lately. Maybe she was sick, and she would go to the foreman and ask him to examine her. The man immediately started to leave the room, saying that since everything was fine, he would leave them. But what now asked him to leave? As soon as she said this, he immediately looked at her and said that everything was fine and he was ready to do whatever she said. Then this powerful woman told him to keep it up and now he needed to go and make them dinner. The young man said that he needed money for groceries after all. But the mother-in-law replied that the Liu family cooks all the food themselves, never buying outside the house. The ingredients are in the backyard. Then our hero immediately decided to start the task and quickly left this room. The young girl asked her mother if he could handle it. Then her mother replied that of course he can't handle it, but it is important for him to realize that being in the Liu family is different from his past. Then the young man went to the backyard. Tonight he was going to show them the power of the legendary ingredient reaper. He then proceeded to find the ingredients he needed. Looking around, he didn't understand, why are there so many pillars here? When he looked up, he realized that they weren't columns but huge carrots. As soon as he saw that, he thought it looked like a dream, because carrots can't be that big. And that's when the Dao Dao came up to him and said, "This is not an ordinary carrot, it's a centennial carrot. No human has ever tasted one." The man was surprised to see it here, and the girl turned to him and said that if you look at it like that, it's very hard to get the carrot out. And the man replied that vegetarian food is not good to eat, so he will go and buy meat dishes. With his physique, he can handle a pig. Then his interlocutor replied that there was no problem and let him start the show. But he didn't understand what show she was talking about. Is there a pig behind him? When he looked around, he saw a huge mouse standing right behind him. The girl told him that if he could handle me, the mouse wouldn't be an obstacle. Then the young man asked his interlocutor if the rat was eating people who pretended to be dead. Then the demonic lady laughed and said that people are so useless, they can't even handle a mouse. Then the man replied that it is probably healthiest to eat vegetarian food all night long, like these century-old carrots, and let them eat meat. So he immediately set about getting this huge century-old carrot. He did it for a long time. It was evening, and the sun was already setting. But he still couldn't dig up this huge carrot. He should have known that all snakes eat rats. You also knew that it would be such a big rat. The girl sat laughing with this guy and said that he was very stupid, because you can just pull this carrot out of the ground. At that moment, a huge rat jumped on her. This rat had red eyes and was even bigger than the one the nice lady had already defeated. The man shouted to his companion to be careful. The girl had no time to react, and this rat gave her a powerful blow on the head with its huge paw. The blow was so strong that the girl flew back a few meters, crushing with her body some huge carrots that stood in its way. This huge rat managed to wound this nice girl. She said it was bad. As it turned out, it was the Rat King, and our hero should run away. The girl said that the death of his friend would not be death for him. It was important to save his life. She wanted him to get out of here, but he yelled that if she didn't run away now, a big rat would eat her. And at that moment, the same big rat rushed towards the girl to kill her. The man shouted that running away is worse than death. It is better to choose the painful way, and then at least he would respect himself. Immediately, he put his body under the blow to protect Dudu. Finally, the blow came. The man closed his eyes and was ready to be torn apart. As it turned out, a brightly colored talisman appeared behind him to protect his body. An incredible huge rat was about to crush the guy and the girl, and a powerful shield appeared in front of them. At that moment, another lady appeared who came here to save them. Then there was a huge explosion and a lot of dust rose into the air. As it turned out, it was the very bride of our hero. She stopped that rat. The man still didn't understand what was going on. He wanted someone to tell him what was going on here. Only now we recognize the name of our hero. His name is Mishang. He clung tightly to the melody of the girl. Meanwhile, his fiancée turned to the huge rat and asked, "Is it unable to cope with its equals and so decided to attack the weak?" At that moment, the huge rat was very frightened. It realized that it would not be able to resist such a powerful woman. The huge rat started to run away, but the blonde-haired lady grabbed its tail and said that running away after hurting someone is really the rat's way. She then sharply stepped on the huge rat's tail with her heel. The huge rat felt pain and humiliation. It could not forgive this ever. Then the mighty lady decided to let the huge rat go, and the rat ran back a few meters away, and then looked at our hero's fiancé with anger and said that he had intended to kill those children to ease his wrath. Now it was between them. The snake-eyed girl asked what makes this rat so nervous? Is it because of this rotten smell? The angry rat replied that because of the pill he had eaten earlier, he could use such great and powerful magical arts. This rat then used its mighty power to frighten the unperturbed girl. Mishang turned to Yenner and said that they shouldn't provoke this rat. The gorgeous snake-eyed lady turned to her interlocutor and said that his self-confidence was ridiculous. Mishang appreciated all the beauty of his bride at this moment and was amazed by her beauty. Therefore, his nose bled. The huge rat decided to utilize this moment and immediately rushed into battle to crush the snake. But Yenner was completely unperturbed. She stood and waited for the rat to get closer. Once the rat was already close, the powerful snake-eyed lady quickly used her fire magic. She had time to react and gave her opponent a devastating blow. The huge demonic rat simply fell to the ground, realizing that these were its last moments of life. The blow was so powerful that the rat created a large hole beneath it. Yenner turned to her opponent and said that he had overestimated himself. Mishang turned to his younger sister and said that her sister has incredible demon power. This destructive power matches countless enemy teams. To translate this into cartoon effects, then it would take a lot of money, isn't it his? Then his companion decided to talk about the power to his sister and explain everything to him. Mishang should know that there are 7 ranks in the demon world. The first rank is enlightenment, the second rank is transformation, the third rank is psychic, the fourth rank is materialization, then comes the fifth rank called opening chi, then comes the sixth rank called return to the beginning, and finally the very last rank 7 is beheading. As for her elder sister, she is a rank 7 master, just one step away from ascension. Out of the 10 great powers of the demon world, her sister is 11, but she is unwilling to fight not one of them. Their conversation was interrupted by Yenner. She said to find someone to clean up the courtyard and then need to go back to the room. She urgently needs to discuss something with Mishang. Little sister also wanted to listen to what they would talk about. But big sister said that the third rank was injured by the second rank. You need to go back to your room and do mental training for 100 days. But the younger sister apologized to the older sister and said that she wouldn't be able to leave the room like that for a few weeks. So after a while, Mishang came to his fiancée's room and immediately fell to his knees saying he screwed up and please don't kill him. Yaner slapped her face. She didn't want to see this humiliation from her fiancé. She threw some kind of ring on the floor to him and told him to put this on. Mishang asked his bride what purpose was served by wearing this ring that resembled Sun Wukong's crown. Yaner replied that he should remove the ring as soon as he faced danger, and she would soon arrive to help. Mishang thought that it had been very difficult for him so far, but if the benefit of being the taker of the demon clan, it seems his charm had already won her over. Yaner said that it made her want to kill him. How humiliating to feel like a summoned animal. But if he summoned her often, it would be his unhappy end. The powerful and very hot woman showed him her fire magic to make him realize that he should only summon her in emergencies. These flames enveloped all around Mishang and Yaner. The man in the maid outfit was frightened by such an event. Then, his demonic bride gathered all that fire magic back into her hand. Mishang looked at her with terror in his eyes, and his face turned pale. Then he tried to keep himself unfazed and remembered something. He remembered that he was willing to sacrifice his life for his fiancée's younger sister. After realizing what could have happened, Mishang was even more frightened, and then sighed in relief, realizing that it was all behind him. After a while, Mishang was already in the hall where he was going to have dinner. 3 maids and a man with a mustache entered this huge hall, the maids have some trays in their hands. At this huge table sat Mishang. He thought that this can't be. Would he really have to eat such food at the long banquet table today? He thought about how he didn't even know how to call them demons. When the maids finally brought the food and our hero saw what it was, he was very happy and thought it was like heaven. Mishang took a piece of meat, but he had never seen anything like this before. It looks like red meat. But whose is it? After looking at it for a while, he noticed that the maids were carrying a huge rat down the corridor. Then he got scared and shouted that it was rat meat. How could anyone eat such a thing? Then he quickly ran to the corner of the room and vomited. All this was seen by his fiancée, and she was very angry at that moment. The girl said it was disgusting and slapped her fiancé in the face. The blow was so hard that he just flew out the balcony window. And then he fell on the hard floor with a thud. He was lucky to land, so he didn't break anything. Then his evil, beautiful wife told Mishang that he would sleep outside tonight. Mishang felt a strong pain in his lower back and thought that she only needed to wait. Once he got to the top, she would still get hers. The younger sister turned to her older sister and her mother and said that they are sick, very rude. It's not like they don't eat rat meat, but yet further it to him. All that was left of the Dai King was this little rat. Until today, she had never let herself lie. But today she gave it away without blushing. Yaner said that this rat deserved to be scrutinized, particularly the food she had eaten before, and made it like this. This rat had clearly lost its magical power, but the intelligence with rivaled that of a human. Then the younger sister said that if he saved her, he should be properly thanked. But her mother said that first of all, you shouldn't call him that. And secondly, even if he activated the seal to save her today, he would still eat rat meat today. Mishang realized that it was hard for him to make his way in this life. He was an orphan, and he had fallen into this demonic snake sect. It was very cold outside at night. He sat next to a dog's box and asked the dog to share his room with him. The dog has it so good here, he would be quite content with this place. Mishang tried to get closer, but suddenly he felt that he stepped on something soft. It turned out to be the tail of a dog. Mishang was very frightened at this moment. He realized that this seemingly calm dog would not tolerate this kind of treatment. And it was really true. It was a purebred dog. Mishang apologized and said that he had done a stupid thing. And the dog did not tolerate this kind of treatment. Mishang tried to justify himself and said it was an accident. But the dog grabbed him sharply and dragged him into its water to punish this impudent man for such an act. Now let's go to a different place. The following event takes place in the school where Mishang studied. Very often in his life it happened that he wanted to eat very badly, and he didn't have money even for a piece of bread. And also at this moment he wanted to eat very badly. Suddenly someone grabbed him by the shoulder. Mishang looked around to see who it was, but he didn't see anyone behind him. It was the same girl who had always helped him. He told her that she had scared him. He thought that someone was playing a joke on him. This girl said she thought he couldn't escape the realm of appearances. Her name was Mi Li. She was his only relative, if you think about it. He owed his marriage to Yener to her. Because if it wasn't for the fight with his supervisor, he wouldn't have gotten married. Then the girl said she had completely forgotten and started pulling something out of her bag. She noticed that he looked very hungry. Not for sure he hadn't eaten breakfast, so she made him some food. Mishang was incredibly happy that Meili took care of him and brought him some. He said she was very nice. And then he hugged that girl's leg and said that the last thing he ate was barbecue from the wedding table. Mishang asked him with surprise, "Doesn't the Liu family feed him?" Mishang ate the food. Meili brought him with gusto, the girl asked him. "Is it really that bad? Are the rumors about him going around the school true?" Mishang asked your friend that it's not that they don't let him eat. But what rumors are there about him? Meili offered him a drink and said that they say he's living with Yaner, but the Liu family treats him like a slave. Mishang tried to mumble something while drinking the drink he got from his friend. She laughed and said that he should chew A after answering. Then Mishang became agitated and said that who on earth is spreading such rumors? This is right on point. Meili looked at her friend in surprise and asked what he had just said. Mishang realized that he had just misspoke and said that those stupid rumors were nothing. Mishang started to say that in Liu He's family, he feels like a king. He has many servants there. Meili said that it's very good and that he should tell her if they heard him. Mishang told Meili not to worry. Yaner is very obedient. He said this very loudly and laughed. But suddenly he saw some guys approaching him. One of them said that he had heard from those present at the wedding that the Liu family had no concept of honor and conscience. They didn't even believe them. And it turned out that this was still an understatement. Mishang turned to his sister and told her to go without him. And these guys? These are his longtime acquaintances. The guy with red hair said that he would give him a chance today if today Mishang would be his subordinate. But our hero replied that this guy was confused. It should be the other way around. From today he plans to become the head of the school. The gray-clothed guy said sarcastically, "Does he really want to become the head of the school? Does he know who their master is? He is the young head of the new family," and pointed his hand at the guy with red hair. Then this guy turned to Mishang and said that he was jealous of his rare good fortune, even though he had entered into a matriarchal marriage. But he should realize that there were many people who wanted to get Yaner who were a danger to him. Then the fatty said that he knows that Yaner is a demon, so he wants to get mixed up in the devil's affairs. Mishang asked his interlocutor, "Why is he so kind to him?" Then this red-haired guy said that if it wasn't for his master's order to treat Mishang as his younger brother, he would have already burned him on the roof of the library and let him consider himself very lucky. Mishang looked at this arrogant kid and asked what would happen if he disobeyed him. The guy with red hair said that then Mishang wouldn't even have a chance to be a cuckold, and only death would be waiting for him. Mishang didn't think for a long time and said that if that's really the case, then he's just saying no. Then those guys who were beside their boss said that they knew this would happen. It's not that simple with a person joining the Liu family. The red-haired guy turned to Mishang and said, "Why didn't they meet before?" But the unexpected happened. Our hero grabbed his leg and started sobbing. He said that his story with the Liu family is only beautiful in words. In fact, they are keeping him as a food stockpile. They don't even know that he hasn't even touched Year once. His position in this family is lower than that of a servant. They don't even give him food. Niu didn't understand why does the Lord shun this idiot and make him become his brother. Mishang turned to his brother Niu and said that as a member of his company, he would have nothing to fear. The demons would not reach him here and kill him. Then Niu said that it is not quite true. He can only guarantee him a little protection. But he will be able to be safe for his rear only after divorce from Yaner. Mishang replied that after he returns home, he will definitely bring up the subject of divorcing Yaner. Niu's brother is smart and strong, and he will do whatever his brother tells him to do, because he is trying to help him. Niu replied that Mishang is a smart guy, even stronger than many of the idiots hired by his family. From now on, if anyone at school dares to touch him, he can call him right away. Mishang thanked his interlocutor, calling him boss, and said that he is the power himself. Now he will go. Niu thought about the fact that they had quickly completed the master's errand and he would be satisfied. But this guy is really so obedient. The guy in gray clothes replied to his leader that he felt that Mishang was sneaky and shameless. Niu replied that he was just a simple man. Besides, they definitely underestimated their leader, who dares to oppose his will. But the man's subordinates replied that the Lord's power is immense. Mishang, meanwhile, decided to go to a place where no one was going. He thought about the fact that there was another person standing behind this guy. Is his fiancée named Yaner attracting so much attention? Mishang wondered how he could come up with a plan to get her. That would be perfect. But he decided to come back to that later, and now he had a completely different plan. It was time to deal with the main culprit of his misery. Mishang immediately went to him. Meanwhile, the person who caused Mishang to show his strength went to the restroom. He went into the stall and used one hand to urinate, with several parts of his body bandaged. Mishang followed him and went to the stall where the man was, remembering to bring a baseball bat. It was time to get down to business. Mishang smiled and entered the stall to do his job. Then, from the toilet, shouting and hitting something soft and alive with the bat could be heard. At the same time, while our hero was doing his business, New turned to his boss. He was holding a small sphere in his hands which he could talk on as if it was Skype. Nayu told his interlocutor that it seems Mishang is weak to any ordinary person. He will have no problem with it. Then the man on the other side of the sphere said that it was impossible to say that's right. We need to find out his limit. The person Yaner likes can't be as simple as he looks. Nu replied. What limit are we talking about? He doesn't even have one. Even in the midst of many people, he has not shown himself in the best way. If the human limit does not lie in his dignity, it means that he is hiding something more important. And if you remember the moment when it was our hero's strength manifested, you can remember that it was because his sister was in danger. After a while, some outrage was heard in the principal's office. People were saying that they couldn't just leave it like that. It was too bad behavior. This Mishang is undermining the prestige of their school. He should be expelled. They all complained to the principal about how he had beaten them into the shape they were in now. The principal sat there wondering what to do. He didn't know how best to handle the situation. He had only reprimanded him once at the beginning of the school year. He had resorted to such methods. Now New was covering for him. Knowing his character, they should be more cautious. One of those bandaged kids said that this Mishang oppresses others with a master behind his back. Meanwhile, Mishang Nas was on the training grounds and sneezed loudly several times. He was there with New and said that it was very strange. Today, the stadium was completely empty. His companion replied that of course it was. He had decided to clear the area. Did anyone dare to come here? Mishang said that Mr. New is very cool. His glory number? His respect is as deep as the waters of the Yangtze, but what did he clear the field for? Mr. New replied that of course to do real men's work, soon a man will come here and let Mishang learn from his experience. Mishang was very tense. Damn, what kind of addiction does this guy have? Also need to take experience. Suddenly, his sister came into the stadium and greeted him. Then said, "Why did he call her here?" Mishang replied that he didn't call her. But the guy with red hair said that he was the one who called her here. Mishang tensed up even more. Why would this person call his sister to this field? Then the guy grabbed his sister's hand and said, "What does New mean? If it's nothing important, he will first move away with Li for a while. Experience he won't." New said for Mishang not to play a fool in front of him. He can leave. Mishang immediately resented and said that he is the son-in-law of the Liu family. If a single hair falls from Li's head, he will pay for it in full. His sister asked her brother what was going on, and he told her not to worry and that he would take care of it. New replied that he was afraid of the Liu family, especially Yaner. Then Mishang replied that it was good that he was afraid, and then he wanted to say something but didn't have time. The red-haired guy got angry and punched Mishang in the face and said that, did he really think that the Liu family would stand up for a freeloader like him? Li got scared and screamed to her brother when she saw him get hit. New went up to the cute girl and said that even though she was skinny, she was so innocent. Mishang reacted quickly at that moment and shouted that New was a bastard. He immediately rushed towards him and hit him with a powerful punch with his hand to his stomach and said that he would fight him to the end. From such an unexpected blow, the red-haired guy fell to the ground and dust rose into the air. The brother defended his sister and told her not to be afraid because he was with her. The girl felt excitement and love for her brother for being willing to sacrifice himself for her. Niu got to his feet and said that even though he couldn't kill Mishang, he could easily beat the crap out of him. Mishang looked straight at him, but suddenly his rival disappeared from sight in an instant. When he realized it, he felt some movement behind him. Niu asked him, "Where is he looking at?" "Looks like this guy is also a demon." He threw our hero on the ground and grabbed him by the neck, and then abruptly lifted him up with one hand. So Mishang didn't touch the ground with his feet and said that humans are very weak. Mishang asked this demon, "Do all demons like to squeeze the neck strangling? Don't they know that it is very dangerous?" Niu for now, he didn't understand what this guy was talking about, but suddenly Mishang decided to make an omelet. As it turned out, even demons are hurt when something like this happens. Niu immediately let Mishang go. Our hero fell to the ground. But as soon as he regained consciousness, the red-haired demon pounced on him and shouted that he would kill this useless man. Nu used his powerful magic and was about to wipe Mishang off the face of the earth. There was a huge explosion at the place where our hero was. Not a single person would survive from such an explosion. When the smoke cleared, Nu realized that he had failed to destroy Mishang. Right in front of him was some man in a white shirt and told Nu to calm down. Killing a person is a grave sin. The red-haired demon said that he had to die today, but the man who appeared out of nowhere said that he was already here so he couldn't touch them. Mishang quickly took off his ring and thought why didn't he come? Nu quickly took out some small pill and said that he could feel his power. then swallowed the pill. Very quickly, he lit up with a bright flame, and this pill was clearly enhancing his power. An incredibly huge vortex was formed that knocked his sister and brother down. The red demon formed into a huge hurricane. They angered the man who appeared out of nowhere, turned to Mishang and told him to take this girl. She fainted from fear. She can't be allowed to get hurt. A few moments later, the huge hurricane turned into a huge beast. It was an incredibly huge bull. The unperturbed man said that thanks to those pills, he could reincarnate an animal? Then this demonic bull immediately rushed towards our hero to crush him like a small fly. The man in the white shirt quickly jumped on the bull and said that it was a very stubborn bull. Mishang still didn't understand why his fiancée still hadn't come to save him. The man who was standing on the bull quickly shouted for this beast to slow down quickly and kicked the bull on the head with all his might. Now don't forget to subscribe to this channel and put a like. We continue. The huge demonic bull slammed to the ground with a terrible rumble. Mishang brought his sister to her senses and lifted her to her feet. The mysterious man in the white shirt said that he had warned the bull to slow down. The bull didn't listen and had to be restrained by kicking him on the head to calm him down. Mishang was incredibly surprised at what just happened. Our hero was grateful to this man for saving them. Mishang immediately fell to the ground and bowed his head before this great knight who had risked himself for them. When the guy raised his head and looked around, he saw that the man was tying up a bull and asked what kind of bull was it. The man replied that the fence had fallen backwards, so the bull of the local farmers was able to run outside. No need to worry. Mishang replied that the local farmer's bull was too big, but the man replied that he should return it to the farmers as soon as possible, and let Mishang remember to come to the office in the afternoon to meet him. Mishang, hugging her sister, didn't understand which curator she was talking about. Could this man be the curator? This school has a lot of secrets. Li. It was still very bad. At that moment, our hero's fiancée walked up to them. She fixed her hair and turned to her husband, asking what happened here. Mishang was naturally not happy that she had come already when everything was over. The guy lifted his sister in his arms and said that it was nothing. He just decided to test the effectiveness of the ring. But if his fiancée had something to do, she could go. He should take his classmate to the medical room. The blonde-haired girl replied that she was dealing with a rat demon, so she was delayed. Mishang was already leaving and said that she must be very tired and apologized for calling her. His bride told her fiancé that the ring was broken and she brought him a new one. But Mishang said he didn't need one. Now he will solve all his problems by himself and he doesn't need any help. The blonde-haired lady was angry that he was talking to her like that, and her snake eyes immediately lit up. And then she thought that it was obvious that he had only comprehended the third rank. Yet he was able to recover his true body to fight in the suppressed spirit formation created by the demon suppression department. Then she grabbed her head and thought about something. She seemed to have a headache at this moment. Restrictions on magic seals are becoming more and more frequent lately. Meanwhile, Mishang took his sister to the doctor's office and the doctor said that she was fine. He didn't know what had caused her to lose consciousness, but now he just had to wait for her to awaken. Mishang sat and thought about what had happened today. How many more demons are in this school? But still, something was bothering him. The biggest problem was still unsolved. He decided to play it cool. How could he look Yanner in the eye? She'd kill him. In one office, there was a man or demon who had a sphere on his desk that could be used to communicate. He said that garbage would always be garbage, no practical value. He seemed to be talking to someone who was currently connected to this sphere and said that apparently it was too early to stop the espionage. After a while, Mishang had already arrived at the curator's office and stood at the door. Then he carefully entered and turned to the curator who was watching something interesting on his computer and said that he needed to talk about something. As it turned out, the curator hadn't even turned off the sound on his computer, or he could have at least put on headphones. But even so, he asked his companion, "What's wrong?" Mishang slapped his face and told the curator not to watch such videos in front of strangers next time. Then the curator told his interlocutor that he had simply forgotten that he had called Mishang in. He immediately got up and went to the door. Mishang asked him, what did he call him for? The curator opened the door and told the guy to follow him. And now the nonchalant man was leading the guy who was wondering what was going on. Mishang asked him what was he up to, were they heading now? They had been walking like this for a few minutes now, but the curator didn't answer and just decided to go ahead. And finally they climbed the stairs to the topmost floor of this educational institution, only now the curator said that they were on the spot. Mishang was surprised and asked his interlocutor, what did he bring him to the roof for? The curator then told Mishang to take his hand and extended his hand to him. Mishang didn't understand what was wrong. When he looked at his handler's hand, he noticed that it was covered in some crumbs. He gently and squeamishly took his finger, but carefully grabbed Mishang's hand very powerfully. and then abruptly made an incredibly high jump from the roof and told Mishang to just fall behind him and not be afraid. Mishang was already so scared that his face turned blue. He thought that this was his last moments of life. As it turned out, there was a portal down there, where Mishang and the Curator immediately fell through. And now they were already in a completely different place. The unperturbed Curator had time to react and stopped. He grabbed his student's clothes and told him to open his eyes and look at everything around him. Everything is fine. Friends, I spend a lot of time and effort retelling a single manhwa. It takes several days, and my videos don't always pay off. If you like what I do and want to support me or see more of this manhwa, please use the super thank you feature. It really helps. And a huge thank you to everyone who watches the video to the end. I really appreciate it. Mishang sat down on the ground and breathing heavily said that the Curator had scared the hell out of him. They appeared in some huge and spacious corridor. It looked like an underground parking lot, but very big. Mishang looked around and asked his interlocutor who had brought him here where they were now. Then the man replied that his name was Sikken. He was a member of the C-Region Demon Suppression Department, and he thought he should cooperate with them. As it turned out, they were now in the Demon Suppression Department. There were a lot of cages, and from one of the cages we can see familiar hands with rings. The demon who was locked in that cage was shouting that they were well aware of the consequences of his imprisonment. It was that red-haired demon named Nu, and he was demanding to be released immediately. A woman in a black hood came up to him and said that as for the demons who broke the demonic convention, she knew the owner of Lanzho Ramen Restaurant. And then she said that this person was very interested in Nu. Nu looked angrily at his companion and asked, did she really think she could intimidate him? He looked into her eyes trying to understand who she was and asked her if she knew who he was. He tried to threaten her and said that his father was a very important man, and did she even know who he was? Then the woman raised her hand and started to use some kind of magic. Nu thought at that moment that she had finally decided to let him out. Meanwhile, Mishang, this from the case, knows about his seal of marriage bond. Isn't it kept secret? Mishang and the Curator were standing near a huge statue. The Curator said that anything they say in this place can't be traced. Mishang asked his interlocutor why he said he was an unusual person. The man in the white shirt said that Mishang had become the demon's son-in-law. From that moment on, he was no longer an ordinary person. Mishang asked, what did he mean by that? And his interlocutor replied that they were looking for him to restore the unfair relationship in the Liu family towards him. So they will help them keep the Liu family under surveillance. That's the plan. Mishang, after hearing this, turned around and started to walk away. He said that he was fine and was leaving. Then his interlocutor raised his hand and tried to stop him, saying that it was to his advantage. After Mishang said that, he ran up to the Curator and hugged him and said, why didn't he say that it was good for Mishang right away? That's the most important point. Then, the man with the white cap on his head replied that this guy should realize that there is no trust between humans and demons. He also said that it was the duty of every person to warn people against demons. Meanwhile, Mishang had already turned around and started to walk away. But his interlocutor fell to his knees again and shouted for him to come back, because he hadn't finished speaking yet. Mishang turned to him and said he didn't know how to help her and what debts he was talking about. And then he said, did he know who Liu Yaner was? She's his favorite wife. Does he want him to help them follow her? When the Curator asked where he was going, then our hero said he needed payment. But if they don't have the money, then the secret code will do. The man in the white shirt replied that if he helps him in this case, he will be listed as an external employee of the department, and he will have a lot of privileges. No matter what difficulties he encountered, he could always count on the help of the department. Mishang asked what was the use of this. Being a member of the Liu family already gave him a lot of privileges. Then the older man said that he didn't understand the true power of the Demon Suppression Department. They are not watching the Liu family for fear of the Liu family, but to know the course of events in the demon world. The department is able to resist those that the Liu family can't. Mishang replied that he was glad that he was lucky enough to be part of such a powerful organization. Then he put his hand on his interlocutor's shoulder and replied that he agreed. Also, our hero promised that he would find out something about everything and the Liu family from prying eyes. In another place, we're heard shouting that he admits that he is wrong and he is guilty. As it turned out, the same woman in the black hood was beating the red-haired demon, and the blows were so powerful that Nu was flying around his cell like a baseball. This powerful woman came up to him and said that not even his daddy dared to insult her like that. Then, Nu tried to get up and turned to the lady and said that she could ask him anything and he would tell her everything he knew. The powerful woman used her mighty power again and hit the red-haired demon with a strong discharge of electricity, and then said that if he lied to her, the lightning bolts on him would activate and he had 3 tries. The demon shrouded in magic was on his knees and said that he would tell this lady absolutely everything, even about what color underpants his father wears. The powerful lady said that it was all nonsense. How did he manage to regain his demonic body with only the third rank? But her interlocutor replied that he didn't know, because he had lost consciousness immediately after taking that pill. Exactly the pill. These pills were given to his father by a mysterious man, and said that they could increase his strength. He offered his father cooperation. And his father refused him but was able to keep one pill. At this moment, the lightning on his body began to spark even more. The powerful lady used her magic to scare this demon even more. He begged for mercy. Then this mysterious woman said that he would pay for this pill. From this day forward, he would obey Mishang. And then the red-haired demon said, "Does this mistress really want to turn him into a slave? Does she really want to do away with him?" Then this lady said that after fulfilling his decree, she would let him live. But Nu replied that he was ready to fulfill any other decree of hers. The powerful lady realized that she needed to use some more powerful magic to subdue this demon and once again shocked him with electricity. She thought about what kind of pill could allow a rank 3 wielder to overcome the formation and reincarnate into an animal. And then she thought that she should meet the elder of the Bull clan. The following events unfolded near the school where our hero was studying. He was singing loudly about something. He was also dancing. He repeated that left hand and right hand and now slower. And he was humming some song, imagining himself as a famous singer on stage. He was so busy with his work that he didn't even notice his wife coming up to him. She looked at him with astonishment and asked, "Doesn't he know how to take care of things?" Mishang at this moment became very tense, realizing that he was going to have a conversation with his demonic snake. Yanar looked at her fiancée, and there was a small mouse beside her. Mishang turned to his wife and said that he could not understand for what reason she was looking for him. He also asked why she took this demonic mouse with her. Then, Yanar replied that today at the stadium, she felt the same spiritual wave as the day the Mouse King ate the pill. Overcoming information and transforming into an animal was an event that stunned the entire demon world. The demon mouse smelled that his clothes were soaked with the smell of the demon suppression department, and it told Yanar about it. Mishang smiled and said that this was indeed the case. He was just about to mention it. As soon as he said that, his fiancée immediately used her teleportation power. They were immediately transported to the mansion where the Liu family of recent times our hero lived. The mouse said, "Why is this guy lying? For a rank 5 demon to move through space is nothing." Mishang said, "What is this mouse talking about? If he is not lying, why is he sweating all over the place and he is also talking about him?" Yanar turned to the Mouse King and said that he would go back to his cage by himself and Mishang should follow her. So they entered the room and told him to tell her why the demon suppression department needed him. Mishang told her that he knew he couldn't hide anything from her, and that their handler was the head of the demon suppression department. Meanwhile, the Mouse King had climbed into the cage and many snakes had already gathered around him. The next event developed in a different place. The curator came to a man and bowed before him. Then he said that he was able to find out that Mishang was a man with no inner core. He was worried about his life. They could use him. Then his interlocutor in an expensive suit said that he was right, but they still needed to be vigilant because people like him were quick to agree, but also quick to give. The curator replied that this gentleman was right. He would analyze each of his denunciations. This man with black hair said that there was no need for that. He just wanted to check the relationship of the Liu family to the demon suppression department. What about the young master in the new family? The curator bowed down to this gentleman even more and said that he was now in the punishment department. He also admitted that he had only taken this pill. This man with black hair was holding an object in his hand, and as soon as he heard the curator's word, the object began to melt in his hand. And he said that he didn't seem to have the respect of the punishment department. Now back to Mishang, who was at this time busily telling his wife all sorts of untrue stories. It was a story about how he had deceived a member of the demon suppression department, using only his own intellect. But when Mishang finished telling his stories, he looked closely and realized that his wife seemed to be asleep. He went over to see if she was asleep, and it looked like she was asleep. He seems to have fooled her and slowly started to leave the room. But suddenly he heard her voice behind him saying to him, "Did she really let him leave?" Mishang said that his sweet mistress was dozing off. He didn't want to live her sleep, so he decided to go out for a few minutes. Yanar said that he was completely incapable of telling stories, but that didn't matter. She wanted to talk about something else. Gorgeous lady sat down on the sofa and told Mishang to come closer to her. Her husband carefully approached her. More importantly, he hugged another girl today. He obviously didn't like that. Immediately, numerous snakes started crawling near her, and if she wasn't mistaken, he had also been rude to her. A huge snake enveloped the body of the unfortunate guy, and he said that it was a misunderstanding. He was really worried that she would overwork, so he said that he would take care of himself. Yana replied to him that touching other girls' bodies is not forgivable for someone who calls himself her man. Mishang shouted that it wasn't what she thought it was, but his wife replied that given the special circumstances and the fact that it was his first offense. Mishang said that it was true and he was faithful to his wife. But before he could say that, his wife continued her speech. She told him that in that case she would only break the girl's arms, and Mishang shouted that she had misunderstood. He really had a very clear wife. She said she would break his arms. And as for that girl, she would also pay for what she had done, and at this moment she wanted to strike our hero's face. He realized that he could not resist the demon and just tried to cover himself with one hand. Well, at this moment he was saved by something. As a shield appeared a bright glowing talisman. Yanar was startled, not realizing what it even was, and then this magical shield threw the girl heavily aside. Mishang himself was wildly surprised at what had just happened. What was it? Was there really an explosion? He looked at his wife. She was lying on the floor at this moment. Then he ran up to her and joyfully thought that it turns out he is so cool. He managed to confront this demonic woman. Yes, and she also lost consciousness. Mishang began to laugh out loud. He felt all-powerful at this moment. He was greatly encouraged by this and could not contain his emotions, so he laughed even louder. This laughter was so loud that even the Mouse King heard it. He finished his cookie and thought that it looked like Yanar had driven him crazy. After being so happy, Mishang stopped and just examined his demonic snake. It certainly looks as amazing as ever. What a pity he can't touch it, but that's for now. This mating seal is incredibly powerful. If he could learn to control it, his life would change. He thought he could finally change his destiny and subdue all those demons in him. But first, he needed to figure out how this seal worked and how to use it. He tried to do some of the moves he had once seen in some. Then he tried to concentrate and shouted out some strange sounds to make the seal manifest. After a while of trying, he stopped and thought he had failed. It looked as if he was standing outside a magic cave and didn't know the password to it. But he had to think of something. He strained every brain cell in his brain and thought about what to do. Then his wife started to wake up, but he told her not to get up and let her sleep and he would bring her a blanket. Yanar was holding her head and didn't understand what she was doing here and why her head hurt so much. Mishang quickly realized that she seemed to have amnesia, and then told his wife that she was fine and was just resting. She looked at him with a menacing look and asked why he was still here. He needs to get out of here fast. Mishang, who had knocked her down a couple seconds ago, said that he would do her bidding right away. And after that, he quickly started to move his feet away from the room where his fiancée was sitting. And then 3 snakes crawled up to her. They wriggled at her feet and began to slowly crawl on her shoulders. This snake turned to Yanar and said that she didn't need to remind her of him, but for now, they couldn't harm him. Mishang was just glad that he got away with it. He was thinking about the fact that he had succeeded. But suddenly another nice lady appeared right in front of him and she greeted him. Mishang was startled at first, and then smiled and wanted to say something to her but didn't have time. She abruptly hit him right in the stomach with an incredible force. It knocked him off his feet. He felt a very strong pain, and from such a blow almost suffocated. Well, the pretty girl replied that it wasn't her, it was her sister who made her do it. At that moment, Yanar came up to her and turned to Dudu and wanted to say something. She told her sister that her power hadn't stabilized yet. Rank 3 was enough to kill an ordinary person. Dudu asked her older sister why do it at all, but the answer she got was to just laugh at him. And then they turned around and started to leave. Mishang continued to lie in the hallway like that. After a while, he started to come to his senses. He thought about what he was doing. Any demon could kill him. He should hold on to his life tighter, but at least as long as the marriage contract is still in effect, he won't be killed so quickly. Suddenly, Mishang heard someone's voice that he had never heard before in this house. He started looking around and saw a dog talking to him. This dog asked him a question. Where is he looking? Mishang was incredibly surprised and asked this dog, can he really talk? The dog said that it means that as long as he is cleaning up after him, he can talk quietly, especially how many nights he slept with him. Why shouldn't he talk to the one who is cleaning up after him? Mishang tried to reassure himself and said that having a dog is fine. He is in the demon house after all. And he also tried to tell himself that talking dogs are normal, to think that now they will be brothers. Mishang turned to the dog and called him Big Brother, and then said why he was looking for him. Does he want to give orders? Replied that he just wanted to say that the son-in-law of the Liu family should behave better. And then the dog said to go and hug him, and also not to come to live with him without any reason. Mishang was surprised. What kind of posture is this? He quickly hugged the dog and said that he is very happy to listen to his brother. It is much better than reading stupid books, and let him not be afraid. He will often come to live with him, after all. Living near demons is very difficult. Then the dog turned around and started to walk away. Mishang said that they would see the brother dog later. What he said made sense. As long as he behaved well and didn't fool around, he wouldn't be killed. After a while it was evening and everyone was already gathered in the house. Dao Dao was very happy that they had wonderful cooks. It was so delicious. There was a lot of delicious and exquisite food on the table. Mishang greeted everyone and told them to sit down. His wife asked why he was so polite and wanted to remind him that poisons don't work on them. Mishang replied that he would never dare to do such a thing. They had accepted him into their family and provided him with a place to live. The mother-in-law replied that this was the case, and she wanted him to understand that until the research is over, he should behave like the Liu family. And if he did, she could promise him $100 million to guard the house. Mishang, when he heard those numbers, he was thrilled, and then he was told he had to leave. And again, the same thing happened as last time. As soon as everyone was eating, he was sent outside through the window with a powerful leg kick. Mishang landed on the hard ground again and hit hard. The dog looked at him and asked what happened. What did he do again? Mishang lay on the floor and said to kick him again. What is he doing wrong? Suddenly, there was a huge explosion that happened right in the room where Mishang was just a few seconds ago. Then, very quickly, two daughters and their mother appeared right next to his head. Mishang looked around and didn't understand what was happening again. When would this day end? In the air, some man appeared in the background of the moon and addressed Liu Yun'er. This man said an unexpected thing. He had come to marry her. This man was wearing strange clothes. There was a scar on his face near his eye. Dudu put a cap on Mishang's head and told him not to freeze while the sisters sorted things out. Mishang approached his beloved and asked her to tell him for an hour. He is better than that old grandfather, isn't he? Then his wife threatened him and told him to shut his mouth. One more word and he would die with him. Mishang Aa said goodbye to Dudu and said that some of her sister is very evil. She must dislike him. But also his interlocutor replied that inside Yun'er is not as evil as she seems, and then said that they should just enjoy. The man with the scar on his face was very angry. He said that he still can't believe that she married another man. He didn't expect to be rejected in such a stupid way. At this point, he started to use his magic. The oldest woman said she didn't know who he was but looked like a pain in the ass. Then she said that her family was only willing to marry worthy demons. Then that man shouted that this was not true, and he would marry Yun'er and become the head of the family. Yun'er turned to her mother and told her what kind of mental patient he was. She advised him to leave while he could. Then the old man used water magic and said he didn't care if she had a fiancé, he'd just kill him. And after he kills him, he'll take the groom's place. A powerful stream of water rushed directly at the head of our hero. He did not even have time to react. He was only sad to know that for some reason everyone always wants to destroy him. But to help came his wife, who reflected this stream of water and saved her husband. She said with a nonchalant face, "Ask her who she's marrying, it's her personal choice," she said. Mishang was very surprised at the words, and then tears came to his eyes and he thought to himself, does she really like him? And then she continued talking and said, so what if he is not manly and whiny weakling? As long as he is her husband, no one will touch him. Mishang asked, is he really like that? And the dog suggested just cutting that moment out. But now whoever is watching this video is looking at Mishang and the dog pointing his finger right at him. I'm behind you, by the way, and watching you. After Yun'er repelled his attack, said, why did he come here being so weak? That mysterious man replied to make the girl come to her senses, because he was better than her current husband anyway. Mishang was watching and eating something. He said that it looked like the fight would go on for a long time. Only the drinks were missing from the appetizers. Yun'er's mother quickly approached the man and decided to attack him quickly to finally end it all. When she hit him, there was some incredible huge explosion that threw the powerful woman a little to the side. Mishang rejoiced and thought that she must have already finished. Is it really that fast? The powerful woman looked at her hand and felt something strange. It was somehow heavy. Turns out that man was perfectly fine. He said she was strong, but not strong enough for him. Then the blonde woman lit up with a bright flame and said that they were just getting started. And so the two magics began to oppose each other, water and fire. At this point, the Mouse King didn't realize what had happened and where did the earthquake come from. And now, the Fire Woman began to attack her opponent. She delivered blow after blow and he didn't even have time to react to her speed. Mouse turned to her brother Dog and said if she could join them and watch the fight from the sidelines. The dog of course said she could. So a whole spectator group gathered. They were eating snacks and Mishang turned to her younger sister and said that she said her mother was strong. This man is not. But the girl told him that he really doesn't have the strength like her mother. Maybe he is cheating. Yun'er looked at all this. She thought it was very strange. And then she made an incredibly high jump. She attacked that man with a technique called 100 Snakes and unleashed that power on him. As it turned out, it was magic that had inflicted some level on him. but he was still fine and looked at the girl with anger. Mishang smiled and said that this trick was pretty good and he should learn how to do it too. As it turned out, her punch tore off his outer clothes and there was an iron shell. He asked, "Why don't they just give up?" Mishang laughed and said for everyone to look. After all, he has a big pot behind his back. Then, our hero hypothesized that, quite possibly this person is incontinent and has to carry around a potty. The younger sister and her mother joined this conversation. They put forward different hypotheses about why it is for him. Maybe he is a runaway cook, or maybe this pot is for grass. The older woman said that there is an omen that such a pot is brought for the birth of children. While they were not discussing it all, Yener angrily told everyone to shut up before she cooked them in this pot. Her mother said it made her hands numb. It's so hard and big. Mishang turned to Miss Liu and told her to be a little more careful with that kind of wording. She could be more clear as she wanted to be. Then the woman realized what he was talking about and her cheeks turned red with shame. While they were talking to this man, he got angry and shouted that they had found a bad time to joke around here. Now he decided to kill them all and took out a small red pill from his pocket. Mishang noticed that he was about to eat something. The mouse said it was time to take legs away. So finally, this man consumed this pill and his strength increased to unbelievable proportions. Ms. Liu didn't understand what this drug was. After all, jumping from the 5th layer to the 7th layer isn't that easy. There seemed to be a man with white hair watching the whole thing. He said that it seemed like the time had come. Elsewhere, another demon felt some strange surge of power wave. He sensed this powerful force that had manifested somewhere, and he hoped that he wouldn't have to intervene personally. There was someone in a black hood watching everything that was happening outside the Liu family's house. This person was surprised and thought that the effect of the drug was even better than expected. Yener was right in front of this person who was already ready to crush her. Applying his powerful magic with the pill, he created a huge demonic dragon. At this moment, her mother said that they should attack him together. The daughter told her mother to be careful. That man was already full of rage, and he shouted to Yener, why didn't she marry him herself left? The powerful lady said that she had already explained everything to him and wasn't going to say anything else. Then the powerful women started attacking the man, but he put up a force shield. They threw blow after blow, but he didn't care. His defense couldn't be penetrated. The man shouted in a mad voice that it was useless. They couldn't hurt him. The daughter turned to her mother and said that he had a strong defense and a good one at that. But they would still succeed. The mother turned to her daughter and said they still managed to scratch him. He seems to be torn from too much power. At this rate, all his meridians will burst. The man shouted that he would surrender to me. He would not surrender until he had killed them all. Yener turned to him and told him not to even hope to get out of here alive. The crazy man started to turn into a horrible monster. Yener lunged at him again to hit him, but he again had time to react and put his shield under the blow to protect his body. The girl hit him very hard. Its power was so powerful that it cracked his magical iron shield. She noticed that the shield cracked and she immediately bounced away from him. Mouse said that from such a blow, even a completely defense fell. Miss Liu is incredible. Mishang said that he as the main character should go there and let them take his picture, although he doesn't know if he should go there because that old man is still alive. As it turns out, this man or demon had wounded the older woman, and her daughter turned to her and said that she was poisoned and needed to sit still. And then the daughter approached the mother and began to heal her with her healing magic. Mishang asked her how she could be poisoned. They were demonic snakes themselves, and she replied that there were different kinds of poisons, ranging from low-grade to high-grade. Now Mishang realized that even snakes could be poisoned. At this moment, the person who attacked them was still trying to attack. He raised his shield in the air. The mother didn't feel very good. Her daughter said that her body still had me. She wouldn't be able to fight at full strength. Mishang smiled and told his wife that he could help her with this man. Yener still had the same disdain for him and said that he can only talk and nothing more. Although this is their chance because this man is now targeting Mishang, now our hero realized that he is here as bait. It's so humiliating after all. He didn't want to be just like a worm on a hook. But his wife replied that she would be there for him, so he wouldn't die so easily. Then she said that it was the right time to attack, and rushed into battle again at this man. Mishang looked at his wife and thought she was just a fire and not a woman. The maddened man shouted that she had opened up. Then Yener's eyes changed. They became like a snake's. And now, two huge forces collided with each other. The earth underfoot trembled, and an incredible power was in the air. Mishang just stood in the midst of all this madness and watched it all explode. He thought it was a colossal difference between humans and demons. How lucky he was to have her. Suddenly, he didn't follow. Then someone appeared behind him. It was some other girl with a huge fan who attacked Mishang. Yener had time to react and shouted for Mishang to be careful, but he didn't even have time to turn around before he was almost attacked. But at the same moment, His wife knocked down the very girl who had attacked her husband with a lightning-fast punch. Mishang was on the verge of death. The demonic snake exhaled and said that it was good that she had made it in time. But at this moment, she began to lose consciousness. She had lost a lot of strength while fighting this man. Before she fainted, Heir told Mishang not to dare to die. After looking around, Mishang realized he wasn't alone, and the girl who said he was next appeared again. She wanted to say something, but she didn't have time to say anything, so a huge monster fist flew straight into his face. It was the same furious man who shouted that Mishang would die by his hand. The blow was so strong that the girl simply left her imprint in the stone. Apparently she was a demon too. Mishang got angry and said they wouldn't pay for it. He shouted, "So what if he has no mana and is not a demon?" Mishang headed towards his rival and said that he had hope and willpower. His wife heard what he said and told him to be careful. Demons are stronger than humans. At the same moment, the maddened monster lunged at our hero again. He gathered all his power that he had would tear Mishang into hundreds of small pieces. Well, at this moment, Mishang managed to summon the same seal that saved him every time. The same seal appeared right under Heir, and her strength increased. She was able to rise up. At that moment, the husband and wife were in a force field, a shield that could not be penetrated. Heir managed to catch that demon's hand in flight and didn't even move. She said that no one dared to touch her husband. And at the same moment, Mishang said that no one dared to touch his wife. Heir said that this was the power of the seal. Thanks to it, she had broken through to the 8th level. Also, she had just been able to recover her strength, and now he was definitely finished. The demon that had almost been torn apart by the power that flowed through his body was still alive. He slumped to the ground and shouted, "How is this even possible? He can't lose." At this moment, the other demonic girl turned to Heir and told her to leave him alone. If the mortal died, then she would be in trouble. So better let her leave him to her. But suddenly something strange happened. The girl blocked Mishang's path to her wife, and suddenly she saw her fan start to freeze. Mishang started to freeze that weapon and told that demonic girl that she would be sorry. Then very abruptly, he directed his power directly at the demonic girl with the fan and just froze her. Mishang is very powerful at this moment, but for some reason he felt depressed. His wife looked at him in bewilderment, but suddenly a huge lightning bolt appeared in the clouds. And then that lightning struck the ground. Very many lightning bolts struck the ground around our hero at this moment. The demon with black hair who was in his office felt all this, he thought. Is this the pressure of the thunderstorm? He was still trying to remain calm, but he didn't understand how this could be. At the same moment, someone walked up to the huge statue and bowed down to it, and then said, "What is this girl doing? This is completely absurd." Meanwhile, the very woman who had beaten up the red-haired demon was watching what was happening. She held up her hood so that it wouldn't be blown away by the wind and thought about, how can these people fight like this? Another demon who was sitting near the magic sphere began to notice that it was starting to crack. And then this sphere just burst and shattered into several pieces. He thought, how did it get to this point? What happened? The sky was like some completely different dimension, or another planet. So much lightning, yes, also multicolored. The youngest daughter held her mother with one hand and asked, "Is the end of the world so close?" Heir shouted to her husband to calm down, otherwise they would all die. She told him to at least try to imagine something good. Mishang, at that moment, was very angry. He started to think about what good he could imagine. And then he thought about his wife feeding him all sorts of goodies and his mother-in-law giving him a foot massage. That was what calmed him down, and he felt happy. After he calmed down and looked around, everything seemed to be quiet. He wondered, what was it? Looking at the sky, he saw that it was completely clear, and then asked Heir what had happened. His wife fell to her knees and sighed in relief. She said that they had almost all died, but now it was over. Mishang lifted her up and hugged her a little, then asked her what had just happened. Heir said that there had been a violent thunderstorm, just a little bit more, and not only them, but the whole city would have been wiped out. The demonic man who was attacking them now turned into a huge demon turtle, and the girl who was frozen in a block of ice still understood everything and tried to free herself. And after a few minutes, she was finally able to gather her magic into one point and break the ice captivity. She then quickly ran to her comrade in arms and climbed out on top of the huge turtle's head. Heir turned to her and said that the battle had only weakened her strength. Wouldn't it have been easier to just run away? Then the black-haired girl replied that of course not, it was all their fault. Heir asked what she was talking about. Did they know each other? Then the girl replied that it's been over 1,000 years. It's okay if she doesn't remember. She decided to remind her and said that they were rival cultivators back then. Mishang said that it didn't look like she was lying. And this turtle could be her former lover? After Mishang said these words, Yaner hit him on the head a few times and continued talking to her interlocutor. She said that she was only 250 years old 1,000 years ago. Of course she can't remember anything. Then the demonic girl with black hair said that she would prove it to her. They immediately used their power. It was the power of water, and she created something like a mirror in front of Mishang and his wife. Mishang didn't understand what was going on and asked what it was. Is it a mirror? The girl with black hair replied that yes, it is a water mirror, and now it will show them the events of 1,000 years ago, and whether they come out of there depends only on them. Then something strange began to happen. Mishang began to feel as if he was being pulled somewhere. Then he felt an even stranger feeling and was very surprised at what he was able to see. He saw himself in front of him in completely different clothes, and with a sword on his belt. Behind him stood his wife, but she was much younger. They had been transported back 1,000 years. The girl with black hair wanted Yaner to remember everything. If you have watched until now and still haven't liked this manhwa, now is the time to do it. And now our hero has moved to a completely different world. He went to the past or it's all an illusion. We will have to find out. There was a beautiful nature around, and one of the birds was foraging for food on the bank of the river. The silhouette of a girl appeared from behind the trees. She was humming a cheerful tune. Near this bird, a turtle came out of the water and was interested in what this bird was doing. But it seems that this turtle was quite aggressive. Most turtles by nature are predators, and this one is no exception. Very quickly, the turtle approached its victim and bit the bird's leg. The bird immediately felt the pain and quickly flew away from this aggressive turtle. At the moment when the turtle got hold of the bird's leg, the bird quickly flew up and the turtle flipped upside down. Then, a girl who was walking near the creek came to this turtle to watch it. The turtle could not get up and was tossing from side to side, looking helpless, of course. The blonde-haired girl approached the turtle and said that after all, this is a demon turtle, so why is he pretending? And then she helped the turtle to turn over. As we can see, this turtle is quite large. And then the young lady asked the turtle, "Isn't he very weak? There are many enemies here, so he should run away from here quickly." Then the young lady carefully helped the turtle to get back to the stream and said goodbye to him. And the girl also sent a shell into the water, which the bird tried to crush with its beak. The bird was a demon too, and it was watching carefully as the girl helped the turtle. Meanwhile, not far away from that stream sat a man who was very similar to Mishang. He was sitting quietly by the fire he had recently made and was thinking about something. Several armed men came up to him and said that they had finally found this scoundrel. He turned to him and told him that he had conspired with demons and that he was facing the death penalty. A man similar to Mishang said, "Is this a great sin? Why should he die?" Then his interlocutor angrily said that they have a mission. They must catch the demon and not let him get away. Then the white-clothed man said that it was they who had failed. What did he have to do with it? Then the other men grabbed their weapons and said enough with the words, "It's time to die." But the imperturbable man just drank some wine from his flask and said that these people are quite funny. After saying that, they immediately pounced on him, trying to slaughter him with their swords. Then the white-clothed man calmly looked at them, and unexpected events happened for those guys. After he finished, he threw away his flask because there was no more wine left. Then he took a piece of fried chicken and began to eat it, mocking the guys who were lying on the earth. As it turned out, he didn't kill them, but just beat them all bald and hit each of them with such force that they lost consciousness. Meanwhile, the same bird that never managed to peck the shell was thinking about it all the time. This heron had almost broken through to the new chi sphere. It had almost eaten this seashell. On this one, the turtle prevented her from doing so, but this shell is the key to the new sphere. The young girl dipped her feet into the water and beautiful fish swam near her feet. She was sitting there thinking that she hoped the turtle was okay. Suddenly, that big shell appeared out of the water, and the girl immediately paid attention to it. Is it a new demon? As it turned out, it was another harmonic girl. She wanted to thank her for her help with the turtle. It turned out this girl with black hair had broken through to Chi's new sphere, and her physical body was in great danger. Before she could say anything, the blonde-haired girl said that she was very glad she could help them, and she wanted to be friends with them. Her name was Yaner. Then the girl said that she didn't even have a name, and she didn't think she would really want to be friends with her because she was only on the second sphere while her friend was on the fourth. And then Yaner replied that it was all nonsense, and she was sure that they would quickly become best friends together. And then they saw the same turtle nearby, and it came back to land. Yaner said that the turtle had come back to land and it seemed to be in great danger. Then the girl with black hair said that it looks like that's the case. That demon is only on the first sphere. Suddenly, Yaner grabbed the shell and ran towards the turtle. Her companion asked, "What is she doing?" The blonde-haired girl said she was going to help, of course. At that moment, the great egret was ready to destroy the turtle. It flew up to the turtle very quickly and grabbed it with its clawed paws. And then this bird started to take the turtle somewhere far away. The demonic girl with black hair shouted that it was time to hurry. They ran after the bird. The bird at that moment flew away somewhere in the forest. At this moment, there was a man like Mishang walking in the forest. He was wandering around the forest and thought that there were only trees everywhere, and he was bored. He was holding a small twig, and he tossed it up to see where it would fall. When the twig hit the ground, he looked at one end of it and realized that the exit was that way. At this point, all these characters were quite close to each other. A big bird was dragging a big turtle somewhere. A person like Mishang was calmly going about his business. And at the same moment, the demonic girls were running after the big bird. As it turned out, it was the demonic bird that had been trying to carry the turtle to a certain place all this time. There was a nest of this heron in one of the tall trees, and it threw the turtle right into the nest. And then this demonic bird rushed with its clawed paws right into the turtle's wake, and quickly started attacking the turtle right in the shell. The turtle at this point hid in the shell to take less damage. The girls saw what was going on up there. Yonner yelled that it was a bad bird and to let the turtle go. Then, that bird asked the girls, "Why let this turtle go? After all, he is not even a demon. He is not even under the protection of the demon world." The girl with black hair shouted that this is all between them. If he wants to get the demon period, he has to come to her. Then the big bird said that she wouldn't dare. The girls next to her must be at the third step, perfect human form, and how this bird is jealous of her. Let's call this man Mishang so there is no confusion, and so he heard some sounds. Now Mishang was happy and said to himself that he knew he wouldn't get lost. Meanwhile, a huge pizza girl flew into the air and said that he wouldn't pay later and she would show her what would happen if he came against her. The girl with black hair asked what this bird was doing, flew up to her nest very quickly, and then she grabbed the turtle again and said that even if she has the third step, she can't fly until she reaches the fourth step, so she can't do anything to her. Yonner asked, "What the hell does this bird want? When someone becomes a demon, they don't need to eat meat anymore." Then the heron replied that she wants to transform and free herself from the body of the beast. It is the turtle that is destroying her life. Yonner hid the stone behind her back. She said that if the bird wants to transform, then it needs to cultivate, and in general, it deserves to die if it wants to destroy the inner core of others. Suddenly, their conversation was interrupted by Mishang. He apologized to them and told them if he could ask for directions, and then they could continue to negotiate. Then everyone was surprised that a man was walking here, instead of asking what he was doing here. Mishang said that he didn't want to be here, so he asked for directions. Then they started to explain where this man needs to go. And at that moment, the bird got angry and asked, "Do they really want this turtle to live?" And then the demon bird said that these three were too much, and it immediately threw the turtle to the ground to finish it off. At that moment, Yonner reacted and threw a rock at the demon bird. The bird didn't have time to react, and it was hit in the head by the stone, but it also hit something in the belly. As it turned out, it was Mishang who hit the demon with Yonner. And after that, he managed to grab the turtle so that it wouldn't fall to the ground. He asked, "Didn't he want to save this turtle?" He looked closely and saw that the turtle seemed to need help. He was not feeling well. Yonner asked her companion when he caught the turtle. Mishang replied that he caught him the moment the bird threw him down. He couldn't let him die? Yonner's new friend turned to her and said that this poor turtle didn't seem to be moving at all. Mishang said that he was probably attacked by that bird, and although his shell wasn't completely pierced, but he suffered serious internal damage. Mishang didn't want to say it, but she said that it looked like this turtle didn't have long to live. Yonner tried to use her magic to heal the demonic beast, but it didn't seem to be working. The girl with black hair cried and said it was her fault. There was no way out. She was willing to pay any price to save him. Yonner was calm and she said there was something she could try. Then I asked her what idea she had. Mishang took the dead demon bird and said that Yonner couldn't do anything, but she could. The demonic girl with black hair was still on the lower steps and had a ghostly appearance. She asked what could she do. Mishang replied that it was simple. He gathered some wood and started to light a fire. This kind of injury is fatal to animals, but insignificant to demons. If they turn him into a demon, he will be fine. Mishang was already cooking a bird on the fire at this moment. Yonner replied that in that case, it would be an ordinary shell, and then 1,000 years of cultivation would go to waste. But the demonic girl with black hair was determined. She asked Mishang to teach her how to do it. Mishang said it was very easy, just let it eat the demonic essence. But it would hurt, even possibly kill her, and she would never be able to become a demon. But why even take such a risk? It would be easier to just let that turtle just die peacefully. Mishang got up and walked closer to the girls. Yonner asked, "What is he doing?" Mishang replied that they are right. It's none of his business, but he wants to control the process. Something was happening to the demonic girl with black hair. Tears were flowing from her eyes, and she turned to Heir telling her that fate is amazing. Just for one day they had become friends and were faced with such circumstances. The shell in which the demonic girl spent most of her time opened, and magic began to pour out. The demoness girl turned to her friend and told her to do her a favor after the turtle was rescued. She doesn't want him to know that she saved him by giving up her inner core, and hopes they will help her trick him into thinking that they slew him. And then she said that she will install in his brain that it was she who saved him. When he's strong enough, then have her find him and he'll marry her. And she also hoped that he would cultivate hard so that he would soon be free from the demon's involvement. She said that she knew she was worried about it, but when that time comes, she might find an excuse to refuse the wedding. Yaner looked at what was happening now with great sadness. She cried and asked why this was happening. She doesn't understand why she has to sacrifice herself for an ordinary animal. Mishang smiled calmly and said that it was an unusual animal. When he was fishing, he had watched the turtle chase away predators every day for the sake of that shell. It was for this reason that this mussel was able to become a demon, which was only natural. He helped it become a demon, and it repaid him. Yaner didn't understand what it all meant. How could it be natural? She couldn't understand. Mishang laughed loudly and replied that it was called love. But don't let him ask him about it, because he himself said that he didn't understand how this love works either. Then he asked Yaner if she knew where he could get more wine. Now Yaner and Mishang had come to their senses again after seeing some events that had happened years ago. Mishang turned to his fiancée and said that if what was shown in the water mirror was true, then she really misunderstood it. How could she forget such an important moment? Then his bride replied that she actually didn't remember any of it. And then she tried to remember some of it but felt a strange feeling. She got dizzy and asked her husband what was going on. She couldn't remember anything. When she tried to remember, she got a headache. Mishang, as he doesn't know what's going on, he can't help her and it's better to just forget about it. Mishang hugged his wife and said goodbye to everyone, saying they were leaving. On the way, he didn't have time to notice how some man appeared right in front of him, and he accidentally bumped into him. That man was as if carved out of stone. Mishang bumped into him and fell to the ground. He didn't realize who had time to put something here. Then he quickly looked around to see where his wife was and what it was in front of him. As soon as he looked around, he saw a man who came very close to Yaner and asked her if she was all right. The girl moved away from him, but he grabbed her arm again, not letting her go, and then said that she had been through a lot today and she should go and rest. Yaner stopped and looked at the moon. She thought about the fact that he had really come back. What should she do now? And then the moon was obscured by clouds. Mishang watched as some stranger approached his wife, and he didn't understand what was going on. This man was acting suspiciously and also seemed to be harassing his fiancée, asking if she was all right. Mishang decided to immediately intervene and asked his wife who this man was. Who was this thief? The man then introduced himself and said that he was the third principal of the Dragon Palace and his name was Yunhai. Mishang replied that he knows a dog that barks in consonance with his name when it goes into heat. Yunhai then apologized for being late and said, "Let them leave the rest to him. Any insult to the Liu family is tantamount to insulting him personally, so this girl will regret being born into this world." Mishang blocked his path and told him what he was going to do. His interlocutor asked why he was asking. Of course, the monster who dared to harm Yaner must be destroyed. Mishang replied that he thought the man was just an idiot, but he didn't expect him to be cruel. Naturally, such words from the third prince of the Dragon Palace. He asked what he was talking about now. Mishang replied to his interlocutor that this creature was subdued by him, and Yaner now he came after it was over and decided to execute it. It was up to them to decide what to do with it. Yunhai said to punish them, but Mishang said to let them go and asked if he understood. Then Yunhai replied that he has no problem with it. He will do as Yaner decides, but our hero's fiancée told him to worry about it and let her husband let the third brother handle it. Mishang was outraged after hearing from his fiancée. What does that mean? There's no way he's going to let him do that after all he saw in the water mirror. Then this demon said that Mishang can't do anything being immortal. What could he possibly know? Mishang shouted that he might not know, but even if they had offended the Liu family in some way, what was their fault? All because Yaner doesn't remember the past, and that leads to misunderstandings. By the way, this manhwa is called Villainous Son-in-Law. The unnamed girl said it took hundreds of years to cultivate the muscle essence, and because of a serious injury, the turtle is back to its original form. It would be nice if they were compensated. Mishang went to his wife and said, "Does she really want to kill them? If they want to leave it to the third brother, then let her start with him. That is our hero. But if she's not going to do that, then just let them go, and they'll leave." Yaner said she doesn't remember anything they say. She doesn't even know if they're telling the truth. Then the third principal said that a mere mortal has no right to participate in the affairs of demons. He used his power, and a green dragon appeared beside him. And then this demon told Mishang not to blame him for the consequences. Mishang said, let him do what he wants, he won't consider himself his grandfather if he moves one step out of his place. The enraged demon said that if he wanted to do so, he would die. And then he began to prepare to attack to strike, and his opponent felt the demon's power on him. Mishang realized that things were bad, but he still hoped for his strength to manifest at an unexpected moment. He covered his face with his hands and shouted that he had to become strong. Suddenly, the younger sister intervened in their discussion and shouted for them to stop. She has a message from her grandfather. And that message is that the third grandfather told them to let them go. Mishang said that it seems that there are still reasonable people in the Liu family who can think rationally. But he is afraid that there are outsiders here who are against their decision. Then this Heir demon said that the third son of the Ao family obeys the will of the third grandfather. Then the younger sister said that it was good. Yaner approached the nameless girl who was sitting on the huge turtle and said that according to the third grandfather's order she could leave. And as for the past that she showed them, she really has no memory of it in her mind. If all this is true and she remembers everything, then she will come to her to apologize. Then her interlocutors replied that it is not necessary. And also the third grandfather said that after taking this pill she could regain her human form. And then the lady with black hair thanked her and turned to our hero calling him Yayoi, and then said that the Liu family is very dangerous, even if he is not as simple as he seems, but still, he should be careful. After that, she used her power and quickly flew away with that demon turtle high into the sky. Finally, it was over and our hero came to the dog box and told his companion that today he was very tired. In front of the demons formed some secret passage and they started to go there. Mishang shouted for them to wait for him. But the dog told him that the mistress said that the villa was destroyed, and so he would have to stay here with him. This, of course, is all very sad. Even after all that happened, our hero still stayed sitting with the dog near his box. Mishang said that no. How is that possible? Why don't they have a room for him? And why does he have to sleep in a dog box when that creep will sleep in a warm crib? The dog replied that it's because the mistress and Ao Hao have known each other for quite some time. Rumor has it that they even almost got married decades ago. Mishang asked, what do you mean they almost got married and then what happened? And then our hero noticed that there was some bright green glow shining directly at his head. It was some demon worker who was using special devices, Mishang shouted. Could this person put away to another place? Can't he see that they are having serious conversations here? The demon dog insisted the book and the glasses department and began to read out that according to the book, Ao Hao distanced himself from his mistress and returned to Nanhai to practice to become immortal. Mishang asked why he had returned then, and what was that book in his hands anyway? That worker still kept shining that green light directly into our hero's eyes. He got angry and shouted for him to take that damn light somewhere else. The dog said that this was the last book of the novel called Snake and Dragon Kiss, which was written by a popular writer of the demon world at that time. Mishang, and asked if he wasn't just her ex. The dog said that at that time, Yaner was abandoned to her fate. Meanwhile, while our hero was talking to the dog, the Nay girl and her protector flew into the forest. They landed in one place and they were immediately approached by someone. He called them a devil pearl shell and a turtle demon. It seems this turtle demon is very hurt and feels a lot of pain. Let her approach him and he will heal him. Then, nameless girl was surprised and asked, is he from the demon suppression department? What does he want here? She became defensive and said that arresting a demon without a good reason is a violation of the agreement between humans and demons. Then this strange demon laughed and said that's why he said he was here to heal them. But he didn't want anything to go wrong while he was healing them, and he didn't want her to get hurt even more. At the same place was the same black hooded lady who was watching them. She said that since Master Feng was afraid of trouble, she would take them both away. Then the black-haired demon turned to her and said that he felt that she was underestimating his performance. This lady did not think for a long time, turned to her interlocutor and said that in this case she wants to check his performance. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this manhwa and you would like to see the proposal, then be sure to write about it in the comments. If I see good activity in the form of comments and likes, then I will definitely do a second part. Also, do not forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell to not miss new videos. Also, you can watch other similar videos on this channel. Just go to the playlist, and there you will find a lot of good and incredibly interesting Chinese, Japanese, and Korean manhwa. See you later.